All righty. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Talking Real Estate with Champions Real Estate Team here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. My name is Mark Wehner, the second team leader at Champions Real Estate Team. So every Wednesday we jump on, give you a rundown what's going on in the market over the last week and kind of what we're seeing, what we're hearing, and just kind of helping and coach and educate you through your real estate needs. And so we'll jump straight into the graphics we use every week. So kind of what are the numbers telling us? So over this last week, we've had 512 new listings go live on the market, 264 new contracts written. So homes that went under contract went pending. So if you see that out there in the world, the pending status means it just went under contract. And then 361 new happy homeowners for the 361 sold homes this last week. So we did see obviously that 500 number is the first we've seen since right before school started. So we've kind of been down in the 400s. We just jumped over that 500 number, so we're starting to see more houses come on the market. I think a lot of people have been waiting a little bit, and then kind of with the interest rates and stuff like that, and the holidays are creeping up. So this is very very normal, I guess, as far as seeing the numbers this way, going up right before we see the holiday season, so people can get into that house before the holidays. New contracts written are lower at that 264. So looking back at my numbers, the lowest number we had after that since then was the week of 4th of July. So obviously the week of 4th of July, everyone was on vacation, having the holiday parties and stuff like that. And so no one was out looking at homes. And and we've been spending our numbers kind of in the 300s, we dropped down. So still is a great time to jump out there, with that lower competition as far as the number of buyers out there. And obviously you see the numbers there with 500 new listings going live. You still have a lot more to choose from. So as we've talked in previous weeks, the number of houses going out on the market is going up, and the prices are kind of staying where they are. We're seeing some price reductions, but it's all just being educated from a buyer's perspective and a seller's perspective, that if you are putting your house on the market, you have to know that those numbers that you heard your neighbor sold their house for, may have been listed at 400, sold for 425, 430. They had multiple offers, but we're not necessarily seeing a lot of those multiple offers. Seeing a few here and there on houses that are in great shape and moving ready, and in that side of it. But you may be closer to that 400 list price, even though those houses may have sold for that 425, 430, when you had 10, 15 people paying, the appraisal gaps and paying sellers closing costs and things of that sort, where now, even though interest rates are higher, you're getting a better price for that home from a buyer's perspective, but still that seller's still capitalizing on that appreciation they've gotten. It's almost a win-win, which is, we're starting to see that intensity come down back to hopefully more of a normal market, which is healthy for everyone involved. Sellers are still making a good appreciation on their house. Buyers are still getting a great house at a good price, fair price, and not necessarily paying the auction price, which is what we were seeing the last couple months, couple years through that process of it. So we'll take a look at the 30,000 foot view of what's going on. So obviously, as those numbers went up, you're going to see these numbers go up as well. Last week we were at 2,400 even. This week we're at 2,550, 1,500s in the Douglas Sarpy County area. Existing homes at the 663. And then new construction, a little higher at 843. Months of inventory, obviously, as our inventory goes up, so is our months of inventory as well. The average sold price kind of hovering right around that 317 mark. We'll probably maybe see that kind of stay there for a little bit. Obviously, we're going to see some of those closings, on some of those new constructions that are going to be those contracts that were written, 8 months ago, those prices coming in. So that might bump us up just a little bit in that realm. But overall, same song, same dance. I think we're still, in a great market aspect of it, even though we're seeing the volatility on the mortgage rates. And just before we got on here, Russ and I were kind of talking off camera, what we're seeing just as far as how are people adapting to those higher mortgage rates. We're seeing buy downs on the rates, in some of those different ways, maybe doing a 5-year ARM, hoping that if the interest rates go down, you're locked in for 5 years. You can refinance it within that time frame to get a lower interest rate in that regard. So I'll open it up here to Russ Williams with Williams Mortgage on kind of what he's seeing and the different tools that he has in his toolbox to help buyers out, with these higher interest rate atmosphere that we're in.
Yeah, certainly, Mark. We're seeing interest rates, of course, sitting right at 20-year highs, and that's given some anxiety to folks. We've also heard an increasing chorus of economists, bankers, academics, et cetera, that are projecting that they think we're going to have a recession as well, which we've been talking about on here for a year at least.
Yeah.
They feel that that is on the horizon. And so in that light, with interest rates currently being on the high side pre-recession and interest rates historically dropping during a recession, we have seen an increase in the use of unique ways of bringing that payment down for temporary periods of time. One of which you mentioned is what's called a temporary buy down, where yes, we might originate that loan with a fixed rate, worst case scenario interest rate, but for the first year, maybe even 2 years, you're making payments at an interest rate that's much lower. So it's kind of the opposite of an ARM loan in that you do have the guarantee of a fixed rate, worst case scenario, but in the early years, you have a lower minimum monthly payment, with the expectation being that it's quite likely in the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months that you'll be redoing that note anyway into a lower long-term, perhaps fixed rate note. So those are what they would call a temporary interest rate buy down, where you're seeing a lower rate for maybe a couple of years. And usually those are tied together with some seller concessions. And we've known for quite some time that it's been very common that we'll see multiple offers very quickly once a listing has come on the market. We've seen that cool a little bit in some price points. And in some cases, we've seen sellers even be willing to adjust their price a little bit if the property is sitting for a period of time. So temporary buy down would allow you to use some of that price reduction and instead use that to buy that interest rate down for a temporary period of time, to buy the house at a price that you're still comfortable with and get that payment into a range that you're much more comfortable with until such time that you can right size that rate in a year or two. So we have been seeing some unique things being done. They're not new necessarily. They've been around for a long time. But typically, those are the types of tools and resources that lenders haven't rolled out unless we've been in either balanced market or buyer's markets, which at some point, price points, and in some areas, we may actually be there.
Yeah. So I mean, like we said, there's a whole bunch of different tools that we have in our toolbox that we can help buyers and sellers. And obviously every case is in specific to that person. And we'd love to sit down and talk with you about the buying, selling, what the financing side of it looks like. Cause we want to, let you use that toolbox, and that education, that coaching to help you make the right decision for you. Cause I've talked to two sellers, potential sellers this week that are, hey, Mark, we're thinking of selling our house. Is now the right time? One of them is out of the country, and it's just like, hey, is this the right time? What's the market doing? What should we do, in that regards? And then the other one's, older couple, do we do the updates on our house? Do we stay here? Do we not? And those are all things that we'd love to sit down and chat with you. And I will be honest with you on what I feel is going to be a good opportunity and literally lay out all the different scenarios for you so that okay, we have option A, B, and C. Which one do we want to do? Do we not do any repairs, do anything and sell it as is? Here's things that we can do to the house, that may generate some, increase in purchase and increase in sales price, or where do we want to be at? Do we want to cash out, refinance it? Do we want to keep it? All those different avenues of it, of what makes sense for you. And our goal is to give you as much information as possible so you feel comfortable and educated when you make that decision. There's been plenty of decisions I made throughout my life, whether it's buying a car or house or any of those big expenditures that you go into it and you're like, I think this is good for me, but you don't really have that comfort level of this is really what I want to do, or do you have that information to make that sound judgment of what you should do. So that's what our goal here is, whether that's a 6-month process, a year process to get that house ready, or even to buy a house, that's our goal. I have no problem. People, well, I don't want to waste your time, until we're really ready to buy. Well, you're not going to know if you're ready to buy until you talk to, experts in the field of what's going on. And then, don't be ashamed to ask any questions. We're here to help you. And it's fun in my life to see somebody, get, their ducks in a row and get comfortable and get educated and go, this is the right decision for me. I'm glad you sat down. Maybe it would have been great to buy a house a year ago, but we weren't ready. Okay, well, now you are. Let's find you the best one. Or we're ready to sell the house. Do we, sometimes you may be in an estate. You may get mom, dad's, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa's house. What do we do with it? Do we sell it? Do we keep it? Do we rent it? Do we, what do we do? Well, hey, let's sit down. You have your financial advisor that may help you in that regards. Absolutely. get all the different, information so you can compile it, sit down, and hash it out on what's best for you. So I love being just a sounding board on what's going on, and Russ is there to help you in the financial side of it, on the lending side, to what is the best avenue for it. Is it a 5-year? Is it a temporary buy down? Is it just get the house, now, marry the house, date the rate type of thing we've touched on too. So, but yeah, I think we're kind of running along here, but as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, 402-672-7670, or any of our social media platforms. I guess I did forget to put my little on this side over here, my change. I thought usually keeps it for me, but anyways, or give Russ a holler, 290-8936. And we're happy to help you throughout any of the process, whether it's the beginning, middle, or the end, in that regard. So everybody take care, and appreciate it. Russ, you have anything else?
No, make it a great week, everybody. And don't be afraid of real estate. It's a great investment. There are some great deals to be had out there.
So, all right, take care. And we'll see everyone next week. Thank you for listening.